Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. You're welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am Daniel Atai. And today we shall be looking into Nigeria's Governors Forum stance against the financial autonomy granted by the Presidential Executive Order 10 to state judiciary and legislature. And again, we shall also be looking or take a circumspect on Edo APC Guber primaries as court orders status quo to be maintained. But before I introduce the renowned barrister in the studio, who will be doing justice to this analysis, we have to take a short break with a preamble of a video we got from Channels Television, our neighboring media channel, about the campaign that happened in the first tenure of Obaseki while Comrade Adamso Shomole, the APC national chairman, was campaigning for him. And then we'll take a take on why or what happened after that campaign. Please stay tuned.
I know my limit. He knows the limit. Now, nobody. Godwin has worked for 7.5 years for the people of Edo State, using his brain, using his creativity, quietly, not making noise, not appearing in newspaper or radio. He sits in the office of the economic team, which he built using his network of friends inside the heart of government house without demanding 1 naira. Now, a man like that, who will not ask me to give him contract, but will promise me, comrade, you just do the thinking. We will create the means to actualize your thoughts. And to his credit today, whether I admit it or not, check the books of Edo State government. We did not build new structure in government house with government money. That economic team office was built through Godwin network, or what he calls corporate social responsibility. And today, that remains a permanent asset of Edo State government. In fact, as I feel now, Godwin, and we want us hereafter to be calling that building Godwin Obaseki building. Because it was simply the outcome of your uncommon capacity to think, to create, to mobilize, and to challenge us to put this to public good. I don't see your opponent, Eze Yamu, being able to say that. On the contrary, say he made me governor. In 2007, check the record. On April 14, during my election, Eze Yamu was in hiding from EFCC. He did not vote. How can somebody who didn't vote claim that he made me? There is no village in Nigeria that I will go and spend 5 minutes. Somebody will come out and say, this na come with this. We have worked for our country. We made our name. We are not tied to anybody or dross. We simply work and fight poverty and fight for the people. So if you have to look at Godwin and his credentials, and you look at a man who's only worked by his own CV, student, I was rusticated for 2 years. Thereafter, my father, who was a Sogba, he begged. They allowed me to do patch exam. However, my papa could not beg them in Lagos to admit me to Nigerian law school. And that is why, although I read law, I am not a barrister. That is his foundation. Student accomplishment. Community service, 0. Where did you score? I bathed a child with acid. That is your student credentials. Is that the man who wants to govern you? No. Then you left that, you started working. First job, personal assistant. To who? Lucky Benedio. Second job, GM of one Wuru. Sky. You guys know this story. Come on now. You kidding me? You know it all. Where is the company today? Dead. Then it became, you know, the truth is stubborn, and that is why Madam Azule told me, truth is like gold. If you are angry, bury it deep, 6 foot. 10 years later, go and dig it there. You put it inside fire, you hammer it. It comes out, it is shining. You carry your hammer, you beat it, it turns to a new design. Women price, women like funny design rings. So you can do nothing about it. What else did he do? He became chief of staff. Chief of staff, then to who? Lucky Benedio. Okay, from there, secretary to government. To who? Lucky Benedio. After Lucky Benedio, he too, he vamoosed. It's true, we found ourselves in the region of politics working together. But I never gave him government job.
Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. Welcome back. Ours in the studio of Television Nigeria is to set the record straight and to create an environment for expediency, that is accountability in governance. And with me in the studio is Barrister Giwa Victor. Giwa Victor is the National Coordinator of Advocate for People's Rights and Justice. Barrister, you're welcome to Spectacle.
Thank you for having me, Daniel.
Thank you very much. Well, Barrister will be telling us much about this saga as it deepens in Edo State. Right now, while we showed you that video clip, in faraway Edo State, the High Court of Appeal, the High Court of Justice, have a kind of ordered a stay of execution or to maintain status quo between APC primaries and between Oshomole and Obaseki, while Oshomole, the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, advocates for direct primaries. It seems that the governor of Obaseki and the APC in that state want indirect primaries, that status quo be maintained. I brought the barrister to tell us what is the legal technicalities between these events that is unfolding in Edo State. Barrister, once again, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Now, the Edo State saga, what could you tell us about the supremacy between the High Court of Justice and the constitutional framework of the All Progressive Congress that states clearly that the National Working Committee of the APC will be solely responsible for the conduct of the primaries of gubernatorial elections?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's very clear, even in the constitution of the various parties, including APC and the Electoral Act, that is the National Executive Committee of the party that is saddled with the responsibility of conducting primaries for both the presidential election, gubernatorial election, and the senatorial election, and that of the State House of Assembly. And of course, that is not in doubt. It is provided in the APC constitution and that of the PDP. I have not had opportunity of looking at other parties' constitution.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think what is the bane now was the fact that the national chairman, which is Adam Oshomole, the embattled national chairman, Adam Oshomole of the APC, is canvassing that the primaries, the convention should be by direct primaries. And when we mean direct primaries, it means people have to come out in queues and they'll be counted, physical counting, and then the result will be known immediately and declared.
Yeah.
And if you remember, that was what was done even in the presidential election that led to the emergence of the governor of Lagos State.
Yeah.
Yes, when they wanted to do Akinwumi versus the current governor. Akinbode versus his current governor. Achiwaju insisted that they must
have direct
primary. So people were queuing up. You saw, very
at various, not only local government, but world level.
That is how direct primary is conducted. You conduct it from the ward level to the state, to the local government level, and all of that. So it is provided in the constitution.
Yeah,
the constitution provided that it said that it be direct or indirect primary. So that provision is there. But however, you need to also look at the other part of it. Now, even INEC, I was in the INEC. We were having a visual meeting with the civil society with Professor Mahmoud Yakubu just last week Tuesday, and I remember asking him, telling us about INEC coming with new regulation and guideline because of the current COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah. And one of the issues is that they are trying to decentralize voting process. They are trying to discourage people gathering in, of course, a whole lot of people, congregation of people, so as to avoid the spread of the pandemic. And so that also has given the party more reason why you cannot conduct a direct primaries. And I think that is the position of Governor Obaseki. That look, you cannot expose Nigerians, you cannot expose those citizens on the platter of political exigency to the effect of this dangerous COVID-19 pandemic. And so he advised and is pushing that the primaries should be indirect. And of course, I see a lot of reasons, to that effect, because one, indirect primary is also provided in the constitution of the party, and they've been conducting their primaries through indirect.
So it's on the basis of COVID-19 that the court is ordering the status quo be maintained, that direct primary should not be conducted.
Well, I have not gotten the facts. As a lawyer, I like to see the facts. But one of the things I know that the court decided was that the primaries should not be conducted in Edo State. Okay. Because one of the things they are looking at is they want the Obaseki faction want the primaries, whether direct or indirect, to be conducted in Edo State. Okay. The other faction believes that the primaries should be conducted in Lagos State, in Abuja. Okay. Yeah, because it is a delegate system. You send in all your list of delegates, they are transported. We have also seen, even in PDP, in the presidential, all of them went to Port Harcourt. Yeah, so he is saying that, Adam Oshimoli's faction is saying, no, and that is what the court is saying, that look, state status quo, you don't go with your primary, pending when, because their own, the Obaseki faction wants to go ahead with his primary, but the order of the court that says, maintain status quo until we determine the substantive suit. And the substantive suit is the fact that they are pushing, as a national executive body, to say that the primaries should be conducted in Abuja. And for the little facts I have, that's exactly what the court has canvassed.
All right. I don't know, Barrister, if you watched that video clip from Channels Television when Oshomole was campaigning for Obaseki for his first tenure as governor. What could you say about the differences now? If you watched how he praised him to high heavens and said he was actually the bane of economic hub in Edo State, but now he's accusing him of not having certificate or qualification to govern Edo State.
Well, I watched the video and it is very pathetic that that Adam Oshomole is making such, of course, made such statements glorifying, edifying his candidate Obaseki, who is the current governor. How he said he wants to name the government house to be Obaseki's house, and that tells you the way and manner he felt, the impact, how he took Obaseki. And I am not surprised, because those are the normal characteristic of our politicians. They don't mean what they say and they don't say what they mean. They are always controlled by their interests, their self-interest, and not the interests of the masses. Okay. And I'm more disappointed because Adam Oshomole has arrogated himself and has prided himself as somebody who does not support godfatherism. He has said, oh, he attacked the late Tony Anene, who he said he has fought, that he fought down Anene and he brought in that Hamidi. He doesn't believe in godfatherism. And this is exactly what he's replaying. And I think these are the kind of subterfuge and chicaneries that we see in the mind of Nigerian politicians. So politicians don't say what they mean and they don't mean what they say. I think it's the duty of Nigerians to start looking, from the lenses of their actions. We don't. I have never taken Adam Oshomole as a serious person. I mean, it's based considering is the recent development. I mean, you couldn't have eulogized somebody, at one breath, and at the other breath you are saying no, he has not done anything. You are saying no, you are making all kinds of allegations. I mean, the issue has not been the fact that he has not performed. So performance is not in the arithmetic. What to him is personal aggrandizement. Oh, he needs to do my bidding. He needs to align himself with. I have to choose who becomes, the governor of Edo State, and that is far against what he claimed he stood for, and that is against what the current trend of Nigerian politics. Nigerian politics right now should discourage. Let me say, I shouldn't say it discourages. Should discourage godfatherism as what is to be played by Governor Adam Oshomole.
Okay, godfatherism at one end. Could you say it is sycophantic at the other end? The same is a Yamo that Oshomole criticized as having no qualification, having no tenacity, having no sagacity at the grassroots, having nothing concerning how to govern Edo State. Today, Obaseki, Eze Yamo is now the new baby boy of Adams Oshomole. What could you say about that again? I know you may want to still adjudge that, yes, it is the complicity in our Nigerian politicians, how they behave. Could you make any difference, or what could have led to this issue, why Oshomole is behaving like this as a national leader?
Yes, I just told you, it's just because of selfish interest, personal aggrandizement, trying to encourage godfatherism, trying to impose his will on the general masses of the Edo State, and I think he doesn't have that authority to do so. And democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. The people should be given the right to choose who will emerge as their candidate, and also subject that candidate to the general election that will be conducted in September in Edo State. And so the action of Oshomole, like I said, is personal, is selfish, it aids godfatherism, it's against the basic principle of democracy, it's against the basic principle of one man, one vote, it's against the very principle of the tenets of democracy. And I think that it should be discouraged. I think well-meaning Nigeria. I am not saying that when the two parties, that Governor Obaseki and Yamo, they should be subjected to the primaries. I am saying that whoever wins from the primaries should emerge. But I don't believe that one person should take any form of action, anything that is capable of undermining the interest or the position of another party, using the paraphernalia of his office. And that is what Adam Oshomole is bent on doing.
That is constitutionally binding from his party's constitution.
That what?
That the National Working Committee would decide whether it's direct or indirect primaries.
Yes.
My circumspect towards this is that if a national leader of a party, of a political party, could bring his godson and convince the people that yes, this is the best hand I have gotten for you, and today is against that one, and he was initially against Eze Yamo, and today he wants Eze Yamo, like you said, selfish and personal interest in politics as it may. How will the people now decide or how will the party in Edo State, namely APC, decide that the will of the people prevails now?
Now, good question. I think you also, there are some narratives that a lot of people have not really established in this whole saga concerning the Adam Oshomole-led national. Constitutionally, and if you look at the decision of the High Court, you should remember that there was a time Adam Oshomole was suspended from being the chairman of APC, and then he was planning to conduct primaries and for the new executive, because there was a court order that the national convention should be organized for new executive to be brought in, and so he was under suspension, and of course going ahead to conduct the national convention for the APC he perceived that of course it will see to his removal as the national chairman. Then he ran to the court of the Federal High Court in Abuja upheld the resolution of the National Executive Committee, which is the administrative body that takes such decision. But the Court of Appeal now said, no, we are going to suspend the conduct of the convention. Now, the decision of the Court of Appeal did not suspend or set aside its suspension. So ordinarily, Adam Oshomole cannot carry the toga of a national chairman if you look at the decision of the Court of Appeal, because the decision was very clear that no issue about organizing a national convention should be suspended pending the determination of the substantive suit. But there were two legs there. One, Adam Oshomole was suspended, and two, the national convention wanted to go ahead, the National Executive Committee wanted to go ahead to conduct a convention pursuant to the resolution. So the Court of Appeal said, no, you cannot go ahead to conduct the convention because this case has been now subject to judicial decision. Hold on, don't conduct the convention. Everything should be put, everything about the convention should be put on hold. You understand?
Yeah.
So the issue there, the substantive issue was never whether or not Adam Oshomole was suspended or not. So if you look at it, it is not the decision of who determine whether you are going to have a direct or indirect convention. It's not in the mouth of the chairman. It's in the resolution of the National
Working Committee.
Exactly.
Of the APC.
Of the APC, and which he leads.
Which Adams leads.
Yes.
So
but it is the same National Working Committee that suspended him that led to the case that went to Court of Appeal.
Okay.
So you can now see that he might not have the total support of the National Working Committee, and that is and somebody like Osita from Enugu State was saying that even Adam Oshomole she doesn't have the necessary vibes to even sign the nomination form for any of the candidates, because it's the duty of the national chairman to sign the nomination form for any candidate that aspires to contest for the primaries. And his reason was that no, he's still as at now, he's still not the chairman. He's just the issue about going again with convention is suspended. The court did not suspend or set aside the suspension of Adam Oshomole by the National Working Committee. So you can see the dynamics in this issue. But unfortunately, because of the politics, a lot of persons are trying to talk and intervene within the politics. But ordinarily, and looking at the rule of law and looking at the decision of the Court of Appeal, Adam Oshomole does not have the necessary vibe, the necessary carte blanche to conduct primaries or to sign any document that regards the candidature of who should contest the national primaries, or the state primaries of the Edo State
gubernatorial election. Thank you very much, Barrister, for giving us that insight. We'll go on a short break, and when we'll come back, we'll look into whether the president is resigning on the Executive Order 10 that grants financial autonomy to state legislature and the judiciary or not. And we'll also look into the politics of the Nigerian Governors Forum trying to, thwart this good policy or Executive Order 10 in order for governance to prevail at the state level. Please stay tuned. In what seems like President Muhammadu Buhari has approved a delay in the gazetting of Executive Order 10, which would have compelled state governors to ensure financial autonomy for state legislatures and judiciaries. Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State stated on Monday already and the drama has just begun. Mr. Fayemi said, while briefing journalists in Abuja at the end of a meeting, and some other governors. Mr. Fayemi said this while briefing journalists in Abuja at the end of a meeting he and some governors had with some ministers and Mr. Buhari's chief of staff, Ibrahim Gambari. It is important to know that President Buhari signed Executive Order 10 just last month of May. The order mandates the Accountant General of the Federation to deduct from source account due to state legislatures and judiciaries from the monthly allocation to each state that refuses to grant such autonomy. The Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, said the Executive Order 10 of 2020 made it mandatory that all states of the Federation should include the allocations of both the legislature and the judiciary in the first-line charge of their budgets. According to Mr. Malami, in the May statement, when the order was issued, he said, a presidential implementation committee was constituted.
In the serene environment of Gusape, Abuja FCT, TVN, as it is fondly called, caters to a wide variety of audience via carefully orchestrated mind-blowing